Welcome back to Out of Left Field, presented by the Lehigh Valley Health Network. Stephanie Moyer grew up in Sheppton. She started her racing career in go-karts and she won the 2020 Factory Stock Championship at Evergreen Raceway. She's been working her way to higher and higher levels in racing, and in 2022, just her second year in the ARCA East Series, she made history. Moyer joins us now to pick up the story. It hasn't been too long, but we're very happy to have back in the studio Stephanie Moyer. She just finished in the top 5 in the ARCA Menards East Series. Congratulations on that. That was history making. You're the first female driver to do that. Have you had a moment to have that kind of sink in? Have you thought about it? Have you been able to just think about that a little bit?
I am still transitioning that. It kind of wasn't in the making through this whole season. We didn't know about it until about 2 races ago. So. I'm still trying to process it, but I'm really humbled that I got this opportunity to make history. You not only that, but you mentioned with your team with Andy Hillenberg, very well-known driver. You had the highest finish for his team since 1995. Does it feel good, goal accomplished? I mean, do you feel a bit more relaxed now, or is there a little more stress because you're like, all right, we need to take another step now? Oh, I can breathe now. Yeah, you can breathe a little bit? I can breathe a little bit. I was having a hard time trying to figure out how we can go about doing this and making history, and it was just a lot of pressure for me, and not just me, but my family and my team. So it's just really nice to be able to breathe and not get any more back talk from everyone else, listen, you gotta do this. Now it's just hey, congratulations, you can relax now. Yeah. How much extra, and I mean, is it good pressure? What is it like? Because it does get brought up, hey, this is the first time a female driver does this or does that, and that gets the headlines sometimes, which I guess is good because we want more female drivers in the sport. Is it ever at a point where it's just we just need to drive the car? Or is that just kind of your job? You just go and drive the car and let people the reporters and that say, hey, this is the first female and this and that and the other thing? It's a lot. I mean, you have so many people talking. Yeah. And so many people trying to please, and now that my name's out there, it's just so many people are gonna have their own opinions and their own judgments. So I try to get the best out of them as I can with my finishing wise, my positions and my driving and everything, but a lot of people still don't know me, so you still obviously are gonna get a lot of backlash. But for me, I just try to go with the flow, and sometimes I just have to drive and kind of tune it all out. That's a skill in and of itself, I'm sure, the business end of everything. Having the success you had in the series this year, also with the Busch Accelerate Her program, your name getting more and more out there, have you seen a change a little bit from when you first started with Andy Hillenberg and the team? I want to say yes, only with other people chiming in, other racers will chime in and they'll be listen, we're watching you. And I have team owners coming up to me and be like, hey, we're watching you, you're doing really good. And so a lot has changed in the last 2 years, and it's more of a positive note for me more than so negative. Let's relive it since we weren't there. Obviously, I wasn't there. Last 2 races of the season, take me to Milwaukee for you from that race. What was that race like for you? Oh, it was dreadful. Milwaukee is one of the hardest tracks. I remember hearing about that in your last interview, yeah. So Milwaukee started out fine. We were still tight throughout the whole entire race. Last year, we were battling tightness. Now this year, we're battling tightness too. And tightness is when your car just wants to go. When you're going in the turn, it just wants to go to the wall. It's just so hard to keep it, turned. But we really didn't get the finish that we wanted. We had a mechanical failure, and that's basically what we've been battling this whole entire season, was just mechanical failure. And I mean, if we did it and everyone was perfect, we all would be running the same. So Milwaukee was difficult for me, but I'm glad that's over. I was so relieved after that race, because that was just survive, get out of there, and make sure you're still in that top 5 position. Yeah, exactly. When you're battling tightness, is it just the strength? What do you do then going into a turn? Is it the strength and just battling that? Is it knowing when to pull back a little bit? So with tightness, your car, as you turn left, your car just still wants to go straight. Straight, okay. Yeah, so it's really hard to play with. You can do adjustments, or you can also back up your entry, so slow down a lot faster before you get into the turn versus how you would go flying into the turn. So it's just a lot to play with, and that's one thing I battled pretty much this whole season, was just tightness, and then try to get the car to be loose. The tail end of the car wants to spin out, and so much. it's just a lot to work with, and you're still learning all this new stuff too. And I mean, like I learned it in the factory stock when I raced here, but with the ARCA car, it's just, it happens a little quicker than it would because you're going so quick, you're driving so fast.
The competition's up a little bit more too with the drivers you're going up against. So then you go into the final week, you're still in that top 5 position at Bristol. Talk about that a bit.
I was the calmest I've ever been this whole season coming into Bristol, and I shouldn't be because everything happens at Bristol and you have to be on your toes, and if you're not, it'll be like, just like that, you're done. Like your day is done. So practice was all right. We were bottoming out in 1 and 2, so I could feel the bottom of the race, the top of the racetrack just smacking underneath of my car. So we were battling that, and then we did some changes, and then we didn't have a great qualifying lap, but we scrubbed a lot of speed from bottoming out, and throughout that race, we were still bottoming out. So like the adjustments that we made didn't work. It was a tough race for me because I came into this last year like 3 laps into my practice. I'm like, I could do this. We're done for the day. You know, just let's do qualifying, get it done and over with. This race, it was a lot different. We had a lot more rookies in this race, so it was a lot more competition, but also a lot more uh-ohs from all the rookies. So we really had to be on our toes, and we made it. I think we were running in the top 20, and I think one of the top 5 cars, me and him were going into turn 3, and he came down, he wasn't cleared, and spun me, and then another car came up and basically T-boned me and ended my night for me. But we still made history though. So I mean, as soon as I got out of the car, I was like, did we do it? And everyone's like, yes. And I'm like, thank God.
When you talk about a team and you're like, okay, I'm the driver, but listen, if the car's having I got to figure out the best way to do it and work with the team that we could maybe solve this. I never thought about this being a full, and you've seen it because you've worked on the other end, right?
Yeah.
So how much, talk about that end of it.
It's easier when you have a driver that knows how to fix like the setups and everything. I suck at setups on cars, but like if I could tell you on a scale 1 to 10 how loose it is, then like maybe say it's a 4, we'll go ahead and do a track bar adjustment, like tighten up. So like as you learn how to make these adjustments from versus loose to tightness of how the car's handling, it plays a big difference as a driver. And it also helps the team out a lot more because then you have more than one brain working out.